Hello and welcome back again. In this class, we will learn what are marquees or how to use marquees inside our HTML pages. So marquees are nothing but an HTML tag which will enable or which will allow the user to have a floating effects. So it can be any files where you want to have a floating effect. So like I will show an example. So this is an example of a marquee. So you can move around from any direction from left, right, top to bottom, or we can still change all those space or font colors and so on. So in this example I have shown only with text, but it does not mean that we have to do it only within text. It can be a GIF using an images, audio files, video files, or it can be a table, forms, and so on. So anything where you want to have a floating effects like this. So these are called as a marquee. All right. So let's go inside our notepad and then let's start how to create a marquee inside our HTML pages. So here I already have the basic structure of HTML inside the body tag. Let's start creating our marquees. All right, so to create any marquee, the first thing we have to do is we have to start with the marquee tag. Okay, so after writing the marquee, let's say this is an example of marquee. All right, so you can write anything, but for our example, let's just write this is an example of a marquee. After that, when you are done, we have to close the marquee. All right, so if you want to add multiple text inside one marquee tag, it is also possible. Like you can give a heading 1 here, heading 1. After that, below this one, if you want to have one more heading 1. After that, we are learning basics. So I have two headings here inside one marquee tag. See, I've started marquee. I have two heading 1 tags. After that, I've closed the marquee. So we can place many different files inside a one marquee tag also, or else you can still use a separate marquee tag for different contents where you want to display it. Now let's save this one. I will save it inside my folder. After that, I will give marquee.html for our example. All right, so let's save it. After that, let's run it inside our browser. So this is how a marquee will appear. Now if you want to change the font color or background color or font style, so on, we have to apply it like what we have learned in our previous class. So let's try to change the font color. After, let's remove this one. So for example, let's give it symbol. Let's remove this one. After that, let's try to change the font color. So like we have learned, font color is equal to, let's give a red for now. After that, let's close our font. Okay, let's go back. After that, let's refresh it so it's red now. Okay, so we have already learned how to change the font colors. I won't go deep in much into details for that. Now let us change the speed of our marquee. All right, now by default this speed is this much. Now if you want to increase this bit or decrease this bit, let's go here. After that, inside this marquee tag, all right, we have to write scroll amount. Scroll amount means it is the speed of a marquee. All right, so like if we give 10, let's say 10. After that, let's go back to our browser so it will be a bit faster. All right, now if you want to make it more faster, you just have to increase the value here. Let's try to give 15. All right, Now it will be faster now. So as we increase the value of a scroll amount, the speed of this Marquee will be increased. So it depends how much speed you want it. You can declare the one, define that one, but make sure that the scroll amount is written inside this Marquee deck. All right, now if you want to change the position, by default the direction of this Marquee starts from right side of our browser, and then it ends to the left side of our browser. Now if you want to change the position, like I mean the direction, it can move from left to right, or top to bottom, or bottom to top. We can change the direction of our Marquee. So if you want to change the direction of the Marquee, same thing, we have to create inside this Marquee deck. It can be right after Marquee, or it can be right after scroll amount. Alright, it can be anywhere inside this Marquee deck. There is no any sequence. Alright, so let's say direction is equal to right. Let's save this one. So we have set our direction of our Marquee to right. So let's go ahead and then check it. So now it will go to right side of our browser. So if you want to make it move it upside, you just have to give direction is equal to up, or direction is equal to down. So that's how we can change the direction of our Marquee. All right, so now it's floating from left to right. Now now let us try to change the space this particular Marquee will occupy. Right now what we have is it starts from the inside leftmost of our browser, and then it ends at the right end of our browser. But what if you want your Marquee to appear only at the center of our browser? All right, so anything that as we have learned in our table, all these things that goes from this left to right is a row. After that, from top to bottom is a column. So right now the Marquee is floating from left to right, so this is row, right? So we have to define a row number up to how much this particular Marquee will occupy. Marquee will start and then it will end. All right, so let's go here inside this Marquee. Let's define V space. V space stands for vertical space. So vertical means top to bottom, right? So how much it can occupy. Right now, since it is floating from left to right, let's use horizontal space. All right, so let's say 100 pixel. All right, that means we have given horizontal space as 100. So if we go up here and then refresh it, it will start after 100 pixel. After that, it will end 100 pixel inside of our browser. Now if we keep on increasing this one, it will move further inside our browser. Let's try 200. So it will start from here. So we can adjust this horizontal space if your Marquee is floating from left to right or right to left. But for example, if our Marquee direction is up, all right, if the Marquee direction is floating from bottom to top, we have to change this one to vertical space instead of horizontal space, because vertical space means it's going from top to bottom or bottom to top, right? That means it will occupy 200 of pixel by this Marquee. All right, so let's just change this one to right. All right, so basically that is how we can instead of let's try horizontal space. Okay, now it floats from right to left. Now let us leave this one as it is. Now let us try to create a Marquee using an image. So make sure that you adjust all these things: horizontal space, this direction, and then the scroll amount. Make sure that it is inside this Marquee deck. All right, so let's start a sample Marquee. All right, After that, let's try to insert an image. img src is equal to my image is inside images folder. After that, let us try to use 1.gbg. After that, let's define height is equal to 100, width is equal to, let's say, 100. Let's just use 100 pixel. After that, let's close our image. After that, let's close our Marquee here. Okay, let's go back to our browser and then refresh it. Alright, now we have our image. Now let's try to make it a little bit bigger. Let's height is 200. After that, width is, let's say, 250. Okay, now let us try to add one more image instead of only one image. So let's copy this one, let's paste it here. After that, let us go and find one more image. Let's use this 2. It is 2. After that, file format is gbg. Alright, so 2 gbg. Now let's refresh it, and then okay, it's a bit slow, so let us try to increase the scroll amount is equal to 15. Okay, amount amount. Okay, so inside one Marquee deck I have two different images here. So we can create like this, or else if you want to have a different Marquee deck, it's still okay. Alright, so let us say that we have an image here. Now if you want to achieve, like when we hover our mouse it will stop, and then when we move our mouse out it will start. If you want to add that effects, that effect can be added to a text, and it can be done with an image and so on. So let's try to create with our images. So let's create here inside an image. So on mouse over is equal to this dot parent not dot stop. So actually this is a JavaScript properties. You will learn more when we start with a JavaScript session. So out here inside this image tag, before the closing of my image, I have written on mouse over is equal to this dot parent not test stop. Alright, these things are case sensitive. Case sensitive means if it is in small letter or lower cases, we have to write it in lowercase, and if it is in uppercase, we have to write that in uppercase. So remember that one. These things are case sensitive. So on mouse over means when we move our mouse near that image it will stop. Alright, after that, let's on mouse out is equal to double quotation this dot parent not dot start. Alright, so that means when we move our mouse away from that image it will start. Alright, so let's save it. After that, let's add the same mouse over effect to the second image also. So let's just copy this one what we have created just now. After that, let's add for the second image also like this. Alright, now let's go inside our browser. Let's refresh it. Okay, so when we move our mouse it will stop. After when we move our mouse out it will start. Move out, move over, or mouse over, or mouse out. Alright, so that's effect you can add to images or audio, video, text file, etc. So let us try to add here also. This is an example of Marquee. So this is an example of Marquee. We have to add it here. Since this is the property of heading 1, we have to add inside heading 1 on mouse over, on mouse out. Alright, so let's save it. Let's go to our browser. So when we move it will start, it will stop, when we move out, it will start moving again. So that is how we can add a marquee in HTML. So out here, I will preview it out. Marquee, they are used to have the floating effects inside our HTML pages. It can be a text, images, audio, video, table or forms or anything. So the tag uses marquee. To increase or decrease the speed of a marquee is scroll amount. After that, we have to give the value, and then the direction TR use to change the direction from where to which direction the marquee should flow. After that, H space or V space, horizontal space or vertical space, that's how much space this particular marquee will occupy. It will define by horizontal and then vertical space. After that, on mouse over and then mouse out, these are used to stop and then start your marquee. So that's how we can add a marquee effects inside our HTML pages. So that's the end of this session. Thank you so much and see you in the next class.